I don't think any of us can quite comprehend the future ramifications for Vinesh Phogat failing the weight test this morning. India woke up today assuming that Phogat would be India's first ever female Olympic finalist, guaranteed at least a silver. Now she will be returning home without a medal. She was amazing in all her bouts this week and deserved to be on that podium today. This is tragic. The Indian delegation pleaded for some more time to give her a chance to shed the last 100 grams, but to no avail. Phogat's disqualification was followed by a flood of reactions on social media as well.
Yes, what we are here to discuss is who is responsible for this state of affairs. Was everything done to ensure Phogat could shave off 100 grams? I mean, literally shave off and put a cap on like a swimming cap. It's crucial to recognize where the blame truly lies. Vinesh's medical team made relentless effort throughout the night so that she could meet the competition requirements but did not manage to do so. She in fact had to be taken to the medical center because she was feeling dizzy due to dehydration.
And most sports persons find maintaining the weight in period challenging as they have to tailor their water and fluid intake to ensure peak performances while ensuring that calories and bulk resulting from them do not affect their weigh-ins. As per the rules, if an athlete does not attend or fail the weight in the first or the second weigh-in, they will be eliminated from the competition and ranked last without rank. What's even more frustrating is how political parties are engaging in blame game without having all the facts right.
Yes, Vinesh Phogat follows a very strict diet if we talk about her diet plan, prioritizing high protein, nutritious food to maintain energy and strength and avoiding sweets and ghee. Vinesh mainly focuses on high protein and nutritious food which helps maintain her energy and strength. For her breakfast, she prefers to eat eggs, dalia and fruits. She keeps her lunch simple with dal, chapati, salad and curd. She keeps her dinner light with soup and salads and takes every meal in moderate quantities. Phogat loves to drink milk and enjoys eating curd, which provides proper nutrition to her body. Well, with that, let's start our segment. I am Sanjay Ponnappa.
I'm Deepthi Rao.
And joining us to answer or debate or discuss about this important question, what is the reason for Vinesh's disqualification? Why could she not shave off that 100 grams, that last 100 grams that turned out to be so important in India's Olympic campaign? And to talk about this, we have with us a nutritionist who's formerly been associated with Olympic medalist, two-time Olympic medalist Sushil Kumar, Ryan Fernando. Welcome to the show, Ryan.
Hi Sanjay, thanks for having me.
And also we have with us a sports journalist who has been around the world, who has visited several continents of the globe and covered news and understands sports like very few others would. We have with us Vedam Jaishankar.
Hi. Hi, Sanjay.
Well, starting off this discussion, what do you think? How do you feel about this 100 grams? Ryan, how important and how devastated? What is your feeling about this 100 grams that has shaken the country today?
It's a sad day. I was very angry when I heard the news because 100 grams versus a gold medal. People do not understand the impact of this. Had Vinesh done the silver or gold, millions of girl child would have been saved because the Indian diaspora will say that the girl child is amazing. So we've lost out on that opportunity. Now I've worked with Sushil Kumar in his 2 Olympic medals, okay, and in weight category sports, whether it's boxing, taekwondo, judo, or wrestling. You have to meet the weight category about a year in advance. Yes, you have opportunity that you will take part in a lighter than your body weight category, but I think we can't blame government, we can't blame support staff, we can't blame Vignesh. It's the growth of our country and it's a systemic failure. So I'll give you a very simple example. She's an Olympic level athlete, but does she have an Olympic level support team? So like you go to get your PhD, right? You don't go to your kindergarten teacher to give you your assignment. So what I believe over here is the support systems that India is building, which rely on NGOs and certain people who collect corporate money and then get the teams together and put it forward. I was just looking at one of the corporates searching for a nutritionist, and they said 3 years of experience. Now, Sanjay, even you taking a diet plan for me would not take a nutritionist with 3 years of experience. So imagine what we need to do. And then we have the doctors, with due respect, the doctors are not nutritionists. So what has happened is either sabotage, which is unknowing. She could have had a sports drink with lots of sodium, which causes your body to retain water. She could have had an injury internal to her body, but she had the medical team with her. But what I feel is missing, and in this Olympics, I have only one athlete, which is a skeet shooter. I have actually more international athletes than Indian athletes. And the logic here is athletes train really hard, but they do not want to be disciplined in their diet. And these weight managed sports, they don't have a choice. So they're forced to follow food. So when working with the cricketers, it's quite easy. They don't have to meet any weight category. So Rohit Sharma can eat what he wants, and a Virat Kohli can be extremely disciplined. But when it comes to things like wrestling, I think the loss today has to be blamed on the support team not being able to forecast and see the future in terms of what we need to do. And you don't have sometimes the best of the people also available over there. So I'm calling out the team that was supporting Fogat, saying that you could have picked up the phone and reached out to people to figure this out 6 months in advance. You know you're going to play in that. So she was rehabbed medically very beautifully for her ACL. That's part one. But part two is Olympic level performance. So it's always that this happens in India. Everyone gets injured and then we search for the blame game. I think she's done an amazing job. The team has done an amazing job. It's time to move on and find something better. But damn, I'm really angry with, I feel like punching somebody right now.
And sabotage, that's the word you use. That's a pretty strong word, Ryan. Now, Vedam, your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I certainly wouldn't know if there was sabotage, so I wouldn't like to comment on that because I personally feel that everybody tries to do their best. It's not just the coaches and the athlete himself who wants the best. It's always good on somebody's CV to say that they coached a Olympic champion or an Olympic athlete. Anybody's CV, whether it's a trainer or a dietitian or coach or anybody. So I think everybody always tries to get the best of it. But one suspicion I have: what would have happened? Let's say she was paka weight, at the end of all these things that she did last night, like those two saunas and the cycling and the dieting and the not eating, etc., etc. Supposing the final was today, would she have been in a position to fight at all? From what we hear, she's now been hospitalized for dehydration. You know, so she wouldn't have been in a position. The problem I have, like look at heart, yes, it's a great loss for India. It's a great loss for us. We would have loved her to get the medal. We would have loved her to get the gold if possible. But when you look at it logically, why is it that we are so intent on this jugaad business in everything that we do? Whether it's in sports or whether, it's running a television commercial, anything we do in real life. We're always looking for jugaad, jugaad, jugaad all the time. There's so much of time, so much of energy, so much of effort put into that jugaad. Do we really need that? Why can't we be better prepared? Let's look for athletes who are already below 50 rather than going for somebody who's 57 and trying to bring them down to 50 so that they can be, a medal prospect in the under 50. Mentally, that's what I'm thinking. Maybe there is a strategy somewhere, but this kind of strategy is a jugaad that it really doesn't really. We don't need this jugaad. There's so much of effort being done for that. So at the end of the day, you really wonder whether it's worth it at all. I wouldn't blame the athlete at all. If somebody comes across and says you have a better chance at winning a gold in the 50 kg category rather than the 53 or 55 or whatever category. She said, okay, let me go for the 50 category. If somebody can vouch that I could stay on to the 50 kgs. But the point is, you also put back your weight. How much ever guarded you are, however guarded you are with every meal, every minute, everything that you spend, there is a chance that you'll put back weight, and it happens often. And then that's when the problem starts. Then you start staying up the whole night, not eating, going through saunas. and not getting the rest that you require as an athlete, it's traumatic. And I think the problem really lies there. Not that she has failed a test. Even if she had passed this test at the end of it all, does she have enough body rest? Has she had enough fluids in? Has she had enough nutrition? These are questions that you don't go to prepare for a final in this kind of an atmosphere or in this kind of a mindset.
Right. So the question, according to information, Vinesh was training at the 53 kg category until February of 2024, and after that is when she decided that she has to come down, cut down the weight, and go to some other category if she wanted to be a part of the Olympics. So was that the right move? Ryan, I bring you in here for this point. As a nutritionist, what do you feel? Was that the right move, or should she have tried to gain weight and go to the category, the upper category, which is 57?
You see, Sanjay, there is a strategy. Okay, so first things first, you can meet the weight. Plus or minus 5% of body weight can be achieved in a 6 month period. I can say this to you as an expert. I've done it and won the Olympic medal. So let's forget jugards and everything and all of that stuff. It's a systemic failure to not start in advance. The decision to go in that category, once taken, should have the concurrence of the coach, the athlete, the sports and conditioning trainer, the physiotherapist, and the nutritionist. As a team, you got to work together and say how many days to the Olympics. If I can do it for a film star on a roll to lose 30 kgs over a 3 month period, you can do it for an Olympic level athlete. The problem here is, can you generate the same power out of that athlete after doing all of this? So it boils down to she being ready and prepared for the sport, but diet and nutrition, like everyone has coaches, right? America sent a dog for the mental health of a team. India has sent only one nutritionist to my internet search. I have waited for 2 decades to join any Olympic team, and I always get replaced by federation officials. So the point over here is that it's possible to win at a category that you design 2 months in advance. There are simple things that they would have not followed. For example, I saw all the athletes in the Games Village sipping on sports drinks. Boxers, wrestlers, and weightlifters for weight category should not take a sports drink because the sodium to potassium content is 5:1. So you can meet Vinesh the previous night and give her a sports drink, and she could gain 300 to 800 grams. This is common sports nutrition knowledge. But medical doctors may not have this knowledge because they don't train in nutrition and they are not sports nutritionists. Coaches back up as nutritionists because the necessary funding to have the people there on call. Also, athletes are like, hey, what is it? I remember writing for Sushil Kumar, you can eat only 3 dates, 3 khajurs. He's like, how can I eat only three? Yaar? So, like, you want to win a medal, you eat only what I say. So, at the end of the day, there needs to be a powerful support system of science. And when our athletes also behave like rock stars, you need somebody to slap them on the wrist, like the foreign coaches put the athletes in place. Like, you need to do this. We need to push it. And obviously, whenever somebody wins, everyone wants to be the father of the success. And when somebody loses, nobody wants to take the blame. So, going forward, I feel India is the fifth largest economy in the world, but we're somewhere in like 50th place. So whatever I'm doing today as a nutritionist, more from a patriotic point of view, is like I put out a message on Instagram saying, any Olympic athlete, come to me for a free coaching program. Guess who I'm working with? Kenneth Benedict, one of the fastest 8 Olympic athletes in the world in the 100 meters. Unfortunately, he won 7th, but he's doing a nutrition plan. He's calling me the day before his race. What do I do? There's no beetroot, there's no butterhead lettuce, there's no beetroot available. What can I do? Whereas the Indians didn't have proper diet support, they didn't carry a chef. So we can look at the mistakes that are there. And if India wants to host the Olympics, we need to start with that 10-year-old in the living room right now listening in, because 20 years later, they're going to be in the Olympics and we're going to still have this systemic thing. Only when somebody becomes a champion do we buy everything for them. But their basics have not been set as behavior in coaching, behavior in sleeping, behaving in training. So all of that needs to start as a process. There's a long way for us to go to win 22 gold medals like China is at number one place. It's a system that has to be built, and we need PhD support staff. We don't need first grade support staff.
Ryan, so we have such a big push from the NDA government called Khelo India. But do you think that the the support staff training, it's still not on par with these giant powers that you mentioned, like China or USA?
See, there are two parts. Okay, so Kalo India is an amazing initiative. So you have to understand the money is now, the money is just coming in now to the government in the last 15 years. So they have some money to allocate to sports. But once you give it to them, the bureaucrats in the system have their job. They're not going to rock the boat because they have their career, they have their pension coming to them. Somebody like me in private sector is hammering everyone because I am not answerable to some babu, yes sir, no sir. I am about winning it. So either you replace me or don't replace it. So like how they replace the coaches. So Kalo India is something amazing. We need to fund more athletes, but that's funding of the athletes. But what about the coaching system that you need to develop in the country? What about the SNC, strength and conditioning, you need to develop? So it's like, just imagine a simple thing, which is I need to have first standard coaches to PhD coaches for every sport and replace that with SNC, physiotherapists, masseurs, nutritionists, mental coaches, exercise physiologists, and biomechanics experts. An average Olympic level athlete should have 12 to 15 people as their support team traveling with them. Well, you don't get enough of that. India sends 116 athletes. We should have had 1,000 Indians in France. We should be having hotels and restaurants catered for our team. We should have our own sports village over there because the athlete needs to feel cared, loved, and taken care of. And you need to have the best experts doing that. And you can't do it remotely with your nutritionist in India saying, "Acha, theek hai, acha, celery juice nahi hai, okay, ye de do, orange juice de do." It doesn't work that way. That person's literally what we call as the water boy, standing there and feeding that person. So I think that would have been a support system, which I've been calling for the last 3 decades. This is my fifth Olympic, and I'm just saying this to people that only when we lose a medal are we becoming aware of what we missed out on.
NDA's Khelo India push, and your thoughts, Vedam?
Yeah, we made a start. If you look at what was maybe about 20 years or 30 years ago to what it is today, there's a tremendous improvement. But the process is still, we are a long way off. If you take many of these world-class athletes, I'm not talking just about the US ones, but a whole lot of others from Africa, etc., etc. They have the advantage of the NCAA, the American system, which really puts them into, top gear. Virtually, I think 40 to 50% of the athletes are coming through the NCA system from all over the world. They come into the American NCA system and get into it. But yes, every country tries to imitate that. Not everybody is successful. But yes, we made a start with the top program, with the Kalo India program, and a whole lot of others. But the process will take time. The route will take time. And for people to understand where we are going, where we are heading, it's like, you want to make your kid, let's say, an IIT engineer. You know what to do. You'll put him into first standard. That first standard teacher will prepare him for second standard. She doesn't know what he's going to become. The second standard teacher will prepare him for third standard, and so on. And even if you may not, but you know what to do for the IIT. Even if you don't become an IIT engineer or an IIT graduate, you still have a whole lot of other avenues open to you. So sports too has to have a route laid out, and for it to be laid out, you need a whole lot of people who have gone through that route to be in it in all walks of life. I'm not talking, the entire ecosystem has to have gone through it. And unless you get to that position, and it takes time, it's not something that you can cultivate overnight and have it develop and run with the wolves. So you need, over a period of time, you should build that ecosystem. You can copy from others, you can borrow from others, but you still need to build that ecosystem right from the what I said in school, nursery level, right up to IIT level. Likewise, even in sports, right from a sub junior level or an under 6 or under 7 level, the you can have the mentoring system, the coaching system, and a whole lot of other things. And for the support system also, till you reach right to the top. So it's an ongoing process. It's a long process. It's a long drawn process. And every time you need, you keep learning new things all the time. And for that to happen, you need to invest not only a lot of time and money, you also need to invest in a lot of brains, a lot of hard work, and it's going to take time. In India, we don't even have infrastructure for proper sports. Most of the towns and villages have nothing, and even the big cities have just one or two stadiums. Except for cricket, I don't think most of these sports don't have that kind of infrastructure. So we have a whole lot of issues, whole lot of problems. The Kelo India, like you mentioned, is just a start, and maybe in the next 15, 20 years we could get somewhere.
Vedam, again, this is similar. This sounds similar to the analogy that Ryan gave us about, you can't give a Olympic level athlete a kindergarten level nutritionist. They need to be just as equipped and trained like the Olympic athletes. So here I'd like to bring in Ryan. Please tell me, there has been, they've revealed about how they trained Vinesh to cut that extra 2 kg or 2.7 kg to be precise. They said she was skipping all night, there was cycling involved, and then tried to sweat out the extra water. What do you think about this procedure? Because there have been other sports athletes who've come forward and said that they were able to cut the weight, but then the 2.7 kgs here seemed like a mammoth task to get rid of. What do you think about the whole process of cutting weight?
See, with the male athletes, it's a little bit easier because you don't have the menstruation cycle. So the first thing in the female body is that you have to be able to program the menstruation cycle, and I think that's something that very few medical doctors and sports nutritionists are equipped in this country to do. So, for example, I have a boxer, and we took her from 67 kgs down to the 60 kg category over 1 year, and we constantly monitored her menstruation cycle. So could it be that she was either in the luteal or follicular phase and there was an issue? So I don't have clear data. She is not my client. But if she was my client, I would look at body fat percentage, I would look at sweat rates, all before the Olympics. And what you're attempting to achieve over here, you dress rehearsal 6 to 8 weeks prior, because you know when you go into the Olympics, over a 7 day period, you will have 4 to 5 bouts. And so you know the timetable in the Olympics around June. And because you have that, you do a dress rehearsal of meeting that weight, eating that same food. In fact, when I was talking to Kenny, I was like, you are vacuum packing whatever you are taking to Paris from the US. He says, no, I'll get it there. I said, no, you're not going to risk it. You're going for a race. It's like Formula One. They carry their own vehicles, their own fuel, their own tires. So we have to do the same. So if she did not meet it, I would say that there may have been some medical issue or injury inside her body, or she would have consumed unknowingly something that would have loaded her muscle glycogen. You see, you have 800 grams of glycogen in the human body, which stores 3 molecules of water for 1 glycogen. So 2.4 kgs of water can just go up. So when you ask me as an expert, a plus or minus 1.5 to 3 kg weight loss is your range of operation. So I should be able to go in that. For her body not to respond is very interesting, because she would have already done it 5 times, which means her body can go back and forth. So for it to flare up suddenly, there are only 2 possibilities: some sort of injury, or some sort of unknowingly taking the wrong items before or after the last fight, or a contamination of some food where it had high salt or high sugar, and maybe the athlete wasn't astute enough. She's a wrestler, she's not a nutritionist, right? Now you will say to me, there is a support team. Dr. Padiwala, with due respect, came and gave the statement that they did everything possible. But Dr. Padiwala is not responsible for nutrition, is what the country needs to understand. The poor man shouldn't be put in front of a camera to justify what is done, because he's a medical doctor. This is the function of the sports nutritionist or exercise physiologist. And India needs more of them on the boxing team, judo team, taekwondo team, and wrestling because these are weight managed sports. And by the way, if you ask me to handle any of these sports, I'm too old right now to take that stress in life because it's really, really stressful to handle it because uh, a gun is pointed at your head for the athlete to meet the weight.
Like you said, the medical officer even mentioned that she had to cut her hair and the vest that she wears, even that was cut short. So he was, laying down everything that they did at the last moment to make sure that she falls well within the, weight limit. But like you said, uh, a coach, a nutritionist is very different from a medical officer. But this just goes on to show how much, 100 grams cost us a whole gold medal or a silver medal, whatever we were. But I knew that she had her eyes on the gold. It was very apparent from the beginning. India Today has made a post about what all, weighs 100 grams. It's a little interesting if you see. There is a t-shirt. It weighs 100 grams.
My spectacles weigh 100
Dettol
grams.
soap.
Dettol soap.
Yeah, the specs that Ryan is wearing too the fiber might weigh 100 grams.
Two eggs cost, weigh 100 grams. Parle G biscuits, 100 grams. Amul butter, 100 grams. Banana weighs around 120 to 140. So 100 grams, it might not seem so much, but for this athlete, it's cost the country a medal. And I think you both have similar views because when Vedam said about Jugaad business, Ryan, on your post on Instagram, you mentioned that other nations invest in scientific training methods and we are still stuck in Stone Age. Ryan, could you elaborate what the level of training should be right now?
Why do all our top level athletes go abroad to train with a foreign coach? Because they understand that that coach has the necessary Olympic bandwidth to get you to that level, right? So when all of these NGOs and Olympic movements, the various people who are helping on the behalf of the government, so you have Sports Authority of India, and then you have all of these associations, not the government associations, the private associations, what we call as foundations. Obviously, you have a budget, so uh, you're going to recruit people who are not going to be of the highest Olympic level caliber. Like Olympic coaches ask for $100,000 salary. I remember the International Olympic Association sending a representative to me and saying, could you lower your 4 lakh annual fee? Now, the point over here is one of your javelins might be costing 12 to 15 lakh rupees. So it's the mindset of the Indian jugaad, ki where I can save money. Why should my athlete travel by economy class? They have to travel by business class. Not because we don't have the money, but that's the requirement. You see, as long as we have one foot in poverty and think like a poor nation, and we have another foot expecting a gold medal, you cannot change the way we operate. Therefore, you need foreign experts to come and teach us what to do. So, if you want to bring in an Olympic level nutritionist, get somebody like Professor Louise Burke, who's one of the best Olympic dietitians in the world. She's my mentor. I talked to her. I did a course under her. But when you have juniors setting up the whole program saying, I know what to do, with the whole system over there saying that, yes, we know what to do, I think I would suggest to the sports ministry, set up a panel of the PhD or the Olympic level experts in each of the experts. Have 3 of them. Let them debate and set up the principles and processes of how you recruit people from a grassroots level till, let's say, your Olympic coaching level. And you need to meet a criteria, not because you're somebody's niece or nephew that you get into that position. So I think there's a lot that needs to be unearthed. And I just feel so sorry for the women of India because this would have been a real game changer. The same way, I remember when PV Sindhu won the last Olympic medal, I kid you not, we got 46 parents calling us up that night saying, I want to make my daughter PV Sindhu. Can I get a nutrition plan for my daughter who is 6 to 10 years of age? So for me, it's about starting with all the youngsters out there and everyone thinking that, oh, I can get an Olympic coach, but I don't need a sports coach. which is the gym strength and conditioning coach. I don't need a physio. Only when I'm hurt, I'll get a physio. And I don't need a nutritionist at all because mummy, papa can make the food and give it to me. So they reach this Olympic level, they go abroad. Why did Sushil Kumar have me as a coach? Because Yashvir and he went to Cuba and they saw that every Cuban wrestler had a nutritionist from university. Big idea for India. Give a PhD to nutrition students and tell a nutrition student that unless your athlete qualifies at the international level, you'll not get your PhD. See how hard that person will work, right? Because everyone shuts down their phone at 5 o'clock in the evening or their laptop at 5 o'clock in the evening. The younger generation in the support staffs are also getting very babu like. I say this because I run a clinic with 150 dietitians. And in the olden days, we stood on the football field till 11 o'clock at night if training was happening. And today, you don't find the support staff. It's only the physio and the coach that is there. So we need everybody else to become part of this team, ride the team bus, and literally get very patriotic. And government of India needs to spend on, say, let's say, okay, Ryan Fernando, you're 25 years of age. You sign a bond with government of India. You're going to work for the government for the next 30 years. We will pay for your education abroad. So we send you abroad to train and you bring that back to India. And then you start working and then you get first Olympic experience, second Olympic. So by the time you're in the third Olympic, any small superstar comes and you give them one thappat and say, boss, this is how you need to eat. This is how you need to train. The Chinese system. Today, what happens? They all become rock stars and you can see the coaches sitting there like this. And when they get a mouse like Lakshya Sen, then all the coaches start pounding their chest. Come on, dude. You can't attack an athlete after they have lost. You got to attack the athlete before they get into the Olympics. You got to pound them before that off camera. So, in my eyes, all the Olympic level athletes are massively successful from our country. Unfortunately, they're born in a time of age of the Indian horizon appearing. Maybe their children will be standing on the podium when the national anthem plays. I might be dead by then.
Right. Okay. You've beautifully just told us what the problem is, and also given suggestions for the solution of it. I'd like to bring in Vedam into this. Vedam, as a sports journalist, you have this abundant experience, but in your experience, tell us this: what do you think is the scenario of Indian sports when you compare it, to the development of the sports staff, the support staff in various sports across? Because cricket surely might not be facing this issue the way the Indian Olympians are facing right now.
Yeah, but cricket also has had a head start in many other ways. Even as far as you already have an NCA, you have a coaching program to coach the coaches or rather train the trainers. And that also is for various aspects of it, for their diet, for their physical fitness, for the coaching, for the cricket coaching, for the fielding drills, etc., etc. I'll give you a small example. Earlier, the fast bowlers either used to stand in slips or somewhere close by because it was believed that they shouldn't throw. If they throw, they'll hurt their shoulders. And it was Australia which first came up with the thing. So let's have a look at baseball. Every baseball, they're throwing at least about 400 to 500 throws per day, and nothing goes wrong with their shoulder. So why is it that only cricketers' shoulders are going haywire? So then they studied baseball techniques, brought in baseball coaches to teach the Australian coaches and the Australian cricketers how to throw, and everybody has picked up from that. And today you don't mind fast bowlers throwing from the fence because a their fitness levels have changed. B the technique itself has changed. You have imbibed technique from other sport into it. Likewise, fitness level. Yes, Rohit Sharma may look that he is not fit, but don't forget that we have the yo-yo test and a whole lot of other things which are brought in to make the game fit. So cricket also has evolved over a period of time. You will not find cricketers today like maybe let's say 20 years ago or even 15 years ago. You will find them far stronger and far more fitter than maybe Kumble or Saurav Ganguly or the whole lot of them. So today's cricketers like Virat Kohli and the others are far fitter, you know, and it shows in the results that they get. It shows in the mental toughness that they have, and likewise, other sports also have has to borrow from that. In India, what we really have noticed is It is like, let's use badminton as an example now. If you're going to look at somebody like Gopi Chand, he's gone through the whole process. He knows the route, so it's easier for him or for Prakash to train future champions, and they're doing a great job about it. So they know the route, they know how to get there. And likewise, if you take tennis, who are the real good tennis players who have come through? They have been either trained by Ramanathan Krishnan's father, he has trained them, or even Vijay Amritraj and all came through that system. And later Vijay Amritraj started the Britannia Amritraj Trust, which helped people like Leander Pace get in. Likewise, Mahesh Bhupati's father was a tennis player. And so you really notice what is happening is international sportsmen who have learned that there is a different route, in terms of fitness, in terms of training, in terms of diet, in terms of a whole lot of things, and they are able to get other sportsmen or their children or whoever. They're able to not just inspire them. They say that yes, we have gone through this route, and this is the route that you have to get through. I won't mention names. There was a former cricket player, former international, who had played a lot of cricket for India, and he said only after 1 year after coming into the Indian team, he realized that there are things like fitness and diet and a whole lot of other things. So many of them get to the top with just sheer talent, but then learn over there. So I think we are still at the nascent level of sports development and getting a sports culture going. It will take time. We just need to be patient. We need to hit it all the time, and everybody knows that this is not the route. There is a different route. We need to get to that route, and we need to form it out. The IPL has been a success because it's got a whole lot of international coaches, trainers, and a whole lot of others who are providing that kind of input to young, talented Indian cricketers who are coming in at a very young age. So that's also a very important aspect of it, when you get them at the right age and train them, and so that at the right age they're able to soak up a lot of lessons, and that's the same example which you can follow for so many other sports, and do well, because yo-yo test actually was for football, and from football you brought it into cricket, and it's been a great success. So there are other things right from the beginning. When a child is 5, 6, 7 years old, you look for whatever you're looking, whether it's bone density, whether it's muscle, whether it's agility, or that fast twitch muscle, as they call it, onwards. So, like I said,
But
it's a
Vedam, sorry to
process.
cut you off,
The process will
but
take time.
the question is actually, does it seem like sports apart from cricket is declining in today's time, or do you actually see development, since you spoke so much about sports development? Because, well, personally, I come from Coorg, which actually gave a lot of hockey players. There have been a lot of Olympians as well, medalists, gold medalists too. But when you look at the recent years, there's nobody from Kodagu or Coorg who's representing the Indian hockey team, and that is actually alarming. Especially personally for me, it is very alarming, and that trend has been there. Normally all Indians don't really remember the athletic games unless the Olympics is here. So is that good? Is that bad? As an Indian, are people supposed to raise voice, be more aware? What is your opinion about that?
My opinion on Coorg, yes, I've got a lot of opinion on that. Tell me, Sanjay, how many young Coorgs stay back in Coorg? A minuscule. It's only when you're getting ready to retire, you want to look after the estate, you go back there. But otherwise, all the Coorgs are either in Bangalore or in Bombay or in Chennai or somewhere else. So you have very few young Coorgs there. And, as far as hockey is concerned, I'm going to say something very, very controversial. A lot of people won't like it. But where India is concerned, India has done very well this time in the hockey tournament. But otherwise, do you really see, good that you mentioned that you're from Coorg, do you really see young boys and girls moving around with hockey sticks? Earlier, we used to see a lot of them. We don't. You hardly see. Tennis is another sport which is dying. People don't want to accept it, but tennis is dying. Some game called pickleball has come and, virtually wiped tennis out. Every single area in Bangalore suddenly is sporting pickleball, which we didn't even hear about 2 years ago. And suddenly everybody wants to play pickleball. Tennis courts are converting into pickleball. So the evolution of sports, especially where hockey is concerned, I think in Karnataka, You mentioned cool. In Karnataka, I think hockey is a dead sport. Tennis is almost dying. So it may be very controversial to say this, but this is the harsh fact that you have come across. And Coor, yes, the families play hockey these days. You know that. It's really not the youngsters who are playing.
I think you may have somewhere revealed Sanjay's retirement plan there. He's also keen on going back. But something you said stuck with me, that IPL is a great success because international players are, coming to India, and some kind of sports culture exchange is happening. That's somewhat similar to what Ryan also said. He said that international coaches are training athletes, and their way is much effective, I would say, because they know how to put the rock stars into their place. Ryan, here I want to know what this rock star reference is, and why we are calling our athletes rock star, and what is this putting the place that you refer to.
So basically what happens, okay, we have this subservient attitude in India that when I become a celebrity, I become a film star, I become a rock star, I become a sports celebrity, um, the behavior of the person changes. So you tend to look down on everybody else, that I've reached this level, so you are nobody. So when you start working with foreigners, we just have this Gora complex in us that, I studied in Scotland, so uh, oh yeah, you come from a country where there's bullock carts, you're poor. And like, no, we are not poor, but India is now coming to its level. But the thing is, they have experiential wisdom, and they call an apple and a pear a pear. So if you're doing wrong, we Indians will try and do a jugaad method to try and convey to an athlete what's the problem. There is no problem. Dude, you're an athlete. You have to behave like an athlete. You're like a soldier, right? So you can't behave like a rock star and say, I'm going to get up at 6 a.m. in the morning instead of getting up at 5 a.m. in the morning. I don't like you as a coach because you told me to my face, so I'm going to change you as a coach, right? So I think that's why the team sports are a little better, like cricket and hockey, because if somebody misbehaves like a rock star in the team, they just throw them out. Whereas it's the individual sports where you have to kind of massage the ego of the athlete. But having said that, it's like, I don't think the athlete falls into that category of saying I'm going to become a rock star and then ignore the people that are training me, or I want a foreign coach, I will not listen to an Indian physiotherapist. I think it's a function of we only train, and there's no semblance of other training. Like, for example, I've trained so many athletes, and they don't even know how to give media interviews. They don't know how to autograph correctly. So there is no grooming of athletes in our country. So behavior also comes from grooming. How you eat comes from grooming. How you think comes from your family background. And you see, you said about people not taking up sports anymore. Why? Because where is the proof in the pudding that if you don't win an Olympic medal, will you ever be able to make some earning or living from it? So we only support the athletes once they win a medal. But do you know, in UK, the athlete is given a stipend. The cost of my diet plan and my supplements works out to 42,000 rupees per month. Not an Olympic level athlete, an athlete who's training at grassroots levels to become an Olympian 10 years later. Who's going to foot that bill? Does that child's parent earn a disposable income which can keep aside 5 lakh rupees only for diet and nutrition? What about equipment? What about training? So unless you subsidize through grassroots levels the equipment, the coaching staff, the support system, and tell the athlete every year that you win, you get this purse, they will move in the direction of sports as a career. India is a sports loving nation. India, no sports doing nation. This is what a Japanese guy told me once when I asked them to bring technology to India. No, no, no. Ryan San, India only sports loving, no sports doing. So we will do everything for advertisement on TV with brands and endorsements by leading brands in India. But when it comes to taking our child on the weekend and filling a stadium for them to watch sports, the biggest hockey tournament in the world comes out of Kurg. And nobody goes to attend that. Why? Because everyone's on the internet and TV. So I think our priority is to encourage the nation. We'll slowly build, but till such time we're winning. And look, we're playing cricket. I get my bread and butter from a lot of cricketers. But dude, how many countries play cricket? So we are at the top of cricket. Oh yeah! So we blow the flag and we hoist the flag and everything. I think we need a lot more wins. And today was a travesty of I think luck for Phogat that she lost it out, because otherwise the flag would have been flying really high, and a few million girls would get into sport just because of that. So I think there's a lot of work that we have to do. I think talking about it is one thing. I've offered my services to the government of India free of cost at 1 rupee a year. Never heard back. I'm on the Olympic Doping Committee free of cost to encourage people to not take supplements that are banned. But at the end of the day, one of my invoices is still pending from the government of India for an Olympic level athlete. But then that's another story.
Vedam, I'd like to bring in here. What is your final thoughts about this whole issue? The heartbreak that you mentioned earlier as well when we spoke about this thing. What is your final thoughts once things set in and you got more information about what went down there?
Yeah, I think we need more information really to draw some sort of conclusion. It's okay to blame, throw blame left, right, and center, but we still don't know what has happened. So I think it's better to hold our horses, wait. I think within the next few days, we should get to know where to really lay the blame. Otherwise, it's just speculating, saying X must have done something, Y must have done something. I don't want to get into that.
Ryan, what would your final thoughts be about this whole thing?
I think we need to continuously, it's like if you have a child and your child does bad in an exam, child comes back and says, okay, beta, study a little harder next time. So I feel for the athlete, something was taken away from her because of destiny or whatever reason. My words of encouragement go out to everybody, the coaches, the support team, and the athlete. Please continue doing what you're doing. You will get bashed by experts like me on the sidelines, but please keep doing your job. That's what you're paid to do, and that's what you need to do. Pick yourself up tomorrow morning, dust off, restart again. And to the people of India, fly your flag. Go for local tournaments, support the children athletes in your school, encourage your children to take up sports even at a recreational level. Pay your local coaches. My tennis coach for my son finds it difficult to pay his daughter's school fees, so why would he be a tennis coach? We, the middle class of India, I know we grumble a lot, but life is improving. You can help out by just supporting your local coaches, trainers, physios, so that hopefully in 10 years time they become the Olympic support team. So those are my words of wisdom to everyone.
Thank you, Vedam. Thank you for joining us and giving us those insights. Sanjay, when I walked into the office this morning, I was so prepared to write a thorough article about whatever happens with Vinesh Phogat. She's still a winner, and I don't think my article changes even now. Whatever happens, she's still a winner. A slight change might have come on the way, and there are people and systems and a lot of other things to blame, but Vinesh, I feel, has stayed her ground. She's worked hard and reached where she is. Sanjay, what are your final thoughts?
Well, my thought is going back to the time when you mentioned that the 100 grams is equal to a t-shirt or a Dettol soap, because while I was cooking yesterday, I had this extra 100 grams of dhania brought so that I can garnish, but I never thought that would weigh so heavy once I woke up today morning. And apart from that, yes, I understand the feeling, and for sure, even though the Olympic medal isn't here, Vinesh is definitely someone who inspires a lot of girls, and I hope that through the news or the media that the inspiration keeps going on and more girls come forward and take up sports, become athletes and represent the country. That is what I am feeling. Well, with that, thank you so much for joining us, both the guests, and thank you so much for joining us and listening to this discussion. For more such content, please make sure to subscribe to our channel. I am Sanjay Ponappa.
I'm Deepthi Rao and you are watching India Today, SoSouth.
Great job, guys. Had fun with you guys. Thank you so much.